In a recent statement, Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister, said that Putin has three advisors: Ivan the Terrible, Peter the Great, and Catherine the Great. This revelation is more than just intriguing, it's downright alarming. Expansionism, war, murder, and personal vendettas characterize these rulers. It is no secret that Putin is inspired by Russian history. But if he genuinely channels these figures, what can we expect from the increasingly ruthless Russian leader? Welcome to Living History. For years, Putin maintained a small inner circle, often relying on a select few to make significant international decisions. His recent actions in Ukraine exemplify this approach. Despite months of amassing a formidable force of over 100,000 troops at the Ukraine border, Putin's final decision to launch the invasion came as a complete shock. The invasion of Ukraine, however, wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision. It stemmed from a deeply entrenched desire to restore Russia's dominance on the global stage, reminiscent of its historic zenith as a vast and influential empire. Yet this is not the first time Putin has acted in such a surprising and unilateral manner. Rewinding to 2014, Putin annexed Crimea without even informing his own Security Council. He viewed this act as a monumental moment in history. This pattern of blindsiding his own advisors and adopting a secretive approach to international politics showcases a leader increasingly swayed by his personal narrative and isolated. In addition to this, there is also growing speculation about Putin's aspirations for Belarus, suggesting a potential plan to integrate it back into Russia's territory. Behind these military maneuvers, inspirations from centuries past become evident. Lavrov's assertion that Putin's primary influences are historical juggernauts, Ivan the Terrible, Peter the Great, and Catherine the Great, isn't mere rhetoric, but offers insight into Putin's mindset. It emphasizes on how he venerates these historic figures, drawing inspiration from them to mirror their legacies in modern-day Russia's actions. But why should the world be apprehensive about these three historical advisors of Putin? Taking cues from Ivan's dominance, Peter's territorial ambitions, and Catherine's blend of culture and might, Putin's actions can be erratic and unexpected. One instance may see him leaning towards diplomacy, and another reacting to a perceived slight, as evident in his abrupt moves in Ukraine. Such unpredictability becomes even more concerning when combined with the reliability of his intelligence sources. Misjudgments or misplaced trust, especially when trusting figures like Medvedchuk, can escalate into significant geopolitical errors. Given that Russia reportedly possesses around 6,800 nuclear warheads, even a slight miscalculation can imperil both regional and global stability. So, how have the legacies of these rulers influenced Putin's strategies today? Starting with Ivan the Terrible, we glimpse the foundations of autocracy that has shaped Russia's political landscape for centuries. Ivan's reign, spanning from 1547 to 1584, marked a transformative period for Russia. Through sheer will and terror, he dragged a medieval state into becoming an empire, with little concern for the cost to its populace or economy. Today, he is often seen as the archetype of autocracy, exemplifying a leadership style marked by repression and ruthlessness. Noteworthy is his creation of the oprichnina, a special territory, and the oprichniki, his personal guard. These guards, akin to modern Russian oligarchs under Putin, wielded immense power and wealth, directly owing their prosperity to their ruler. Under Ivan's reign, suspected treason, whether real or imagined, was met with brutal retaliation. His measures echo today, especially in the operations of Russia's 13th Directorate, established during the KGB era. This institution's main duty was eliminating threats through executive action or liquid affairs, eerily reminiscent of Ivan's oprichniki. Now, drawing parallels between the two leaders, Putin's trajectory also bears marks of this legacy. Several incidents, like the poisoning of Alexander Litvinenko in London, the Novichok attack on Sergei Skripal and his daughter, and the incessant tendency of oligarchs who speak out against him to fall out of windows, demonstrate an overt yet unpredictable approach to dealing with opposition or perceived threats. While both leaders had moments of progress and enlightenment, the overarching theme remains clear: a leadership approach rooted in fear, control, and an unwavering desire for power. Enter Peter the Great, who ruled Russia for an impressive 43 years. He is best remembered for his relentless drive to westernize Russia and for laying the foundation of a formidable Russian navy. Peter showcased his Western vision by constructing a new capital, St. Petersburg, yes, he named the city after himself, on lands taken from Sweden. But the ambitious project had its cost, as thousands of conscripted serfs lost their lives to build Peter's window to Europe. Putin's admiration for Peter is hardly veiled. During the 350th birth anniversary of Peter the Great, Putin made a daring comparison. He equated Russia's actions in Ukraine with Peter's 18th century conquests, pointing to the foundation of St. Petersburg in 1703, which Europe once viewed as Swedish territory. Putin highlighted Peter's drive to reclaim it. A sentiment echoed by Putin saying, "It looks like it fell on us to take back and reinforce as well." While Putin draws bold parallels between his actions and those of Peter the Great, the implications run deeper. His steps in Ukraine reflect more than mere historical homage. They reveal a clear expansionist intent. There's clear evidence pointing to plans for integrating regions like Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia into Russia. Furthermore, by challenging Ukraine's sovereignty and undermining its national identity, as evident in his 2021 essay claiming Russia and Ukraine are a single, artificially divided nation, Putin paints Ukraine as merely a continuation of Russia's territory. The Russian president's affinity for his historical role model doesn't stop at territorial ambitions. Both leaders share a vision of a militarily strong and globally dominant Russia. Peter imposed heavy taxes, executed detractors, and oversaw the construction of St. Petersburg at the expense of thousands. Likewise, Putin expanded Russia's reach through modern military campaigns, evidenced in Chechnya, Georgia, and Ukraine. His statement, "It is impossible to build a fence around a country like Russia, and we do not intend to build that fence," is ominous. For Ukraine and the world, the shadow of Peter the Great looms large, not just as a reformist czar, but as a ruthless leader. A legacy Putin seems eager to embrace. Yet not all see this historical comparison as flattering. Some critics argue that while Peter opened a window to Europe, Putin seems to be closing it. Turning our gaze to Catherine the Great, her reign was a strategic dance of territorial ambition, paired with cultural prowess. She greatly expanded Russian territories beyond the annexation of Crimea. Alongside her trusted advisor and lover, Prince Grigory Potemkin, she spearheaded a series of campaigns that brought vast territories under Russian rule. Regions of modern-day Ukraine, the northern Caucasus, and parts of Poland all fell under her domain during her tenure. Potemkin's role wasn't confined to military exploits. He also played an essential part in Russia's southern colonization, establishing numerous cities in territories that are now part of Ukraine. This intensified integration of these areas into the Russian Empire served to bolster claims to the region in later years. Simultaneously, Catherine didn't neglect Russia's intellectual and cultural advancement. She made significant efforts to harmonize autocratic governance with cultural and intellectual advancements, driving Russia firmly into the European Enlightenment. This backdrop sets the stage for President Vladimir Putin's own take on leadership. He too annexed Crimea in a move reminiscent of Catherine's territorial appetites. But beyond territorial ambitions, it's in the handling of dissent and perceived threats that the parallels between these two rulers become even more striking. Take, for instance, an intriguing episode during Catherine's rule that mirrors a recent incident in Putin's reign. Catherine faced a significant threat from Yemelyan Pugachev, a Cossack leader who spearheaded a rebellion against her rule. In the aftermath of the insurrection, Pugachev was captured, brought to the Kremlin, and met a gruesome end, drawn, quartered, and decapitated. This stark response was a testament to Catherine's no-tolerance policy for betrayal, and it also served as a chilling message to any would-be dissenters. Fast forward to the modern era, where Putin found himself challenged by Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group. His mutiny, whether genuine or choreographed, bore eerie resemblances to Pugachev's revolt. Although Putin's response wasn't as graphically brutal as Catherine's, the aftermath was just as decisive. Prigozhin's death in a plane crash amid murmurs of it being a targeted accident, sends a message similar to Catherine's execution of Pugachev. In both instances, the leaders demonstrated an uncompromising stand against perceived betrayal. Yet while the world watches Putin's next moves, one can't help but wonder, will history judge him as a transformative yet brutal leader, like those he emulates, or will his legacy be shaped by his failures? This is Living History, signing out.